Alright, welcome back. I want to talk about the build that I've been playing for a couple days now. First, I want to credit the people who actually came up with these ideas. The oldest video I can find on this concept is actually from a Reddit user, Titanium170. I think he was using Detonate Dead and he was stealing the Hinekora node with the Forbidden set. And then most recently, DsLily actually made a video on this, and her version is obviously on hardcore, and she elected to go full MF, and that's what really got my interest because honestly, the thing that I hate the most about playing MF characters is that they tend to be pretty squishy, and I just really don't like having to go back into maps and stuff. So this build has a lot of the stuff that I'm personally looking for in like an MFer. So yeah, I wanted to give it a try, and unfortunately, by the time I tried to play the build, the fulcrums are already up to something like 25-30 divine when I bought mine, so I think it's even higher now, but we'll talk about that. So how does this build work? The way this build works is that the new chieftain has a node that says enemies you kill have a 5% chance to explode, dealing 500% of their max life as fire damage. So what happens is that when you kill anything, there's like a 1 in 20 chance that they explode and do like a crazy amount of damage, and when you have a 100% ignite chance, those explosions also ignite. And what the fulcrum does is that it reflects all of the elemental ailments you inflict back to you as well. Chieftains are also innately unaffected by ignite, so you can be ignited, you just don't take damage from it, right? So that's the basic premise of how this build works. The first thing is, because we're getting Velocals, so we want to get max fire res. So there's a couple ways we can get max fire res. We can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from these nodes right here using a Warrior's Tail. And then we also use a level 21 Purity of Fire, scaling a little bit of aura effectiveness to bring us up to 90, 90, 90. And because of the Tassalio Cleansing Water, our fire res with our flasks up is giving us pretty much all of the it's already giving us all of the resistances that we need. But while you're in a map, you can click on any of the minus res altars, and it won't bring you down below like 100 res. So that's really nice. And then the other thing is that since pretty much all of our damage comes from monster explosion and stuff like that, and it's a universal damage, right? So there's very few ways to actually scale it. So a lot of our build is actually focused on defenses, so we can be a little bit tanky in maps. So we're running the new Defiance of Destiny. You can actually roll these, you can qual these up with life and mana modifiers to get 40% of missing unreserved life before hit by enemies. That's actually crazy good for just mapping in general. You're basically immune to like small hits. And the other thing is that we're using the Supreme Ostentation tech. When I bought this one only had one rarity node. The other one had a flask effect. This was I think like 4 divines or something. And I think it's really not a big difference between this one and one that has 2 of these 40% increased rarity, because you're already looking at 400% rarity. So having an extra 40% is really not that big of a deal. The difference in price is pretty large. It's like 2 divines for this one, 2 to 4 divines for this one, and then something like 26-30 divines for one with double. And the reason why Supreme Ostentation is so useful is because we can then go ahead and replace all of our stats with tattoos, right? And as you can see, I have replaced every single one of my nodes with either rarity or the explosion. There's 2 in here inside of the Warrior's Tail, and then the rest of it are just regular 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%. And in case you're wondering, I actually did try Aureus and the Explosion Flask, and it felt like it made no difference. So I ended up just dropping it and putting on a gold flask instead. So, alright, so that's the reason why we're doing MF, right? It's because normally, it's hard to get up to this kind of damage with this little amount of investment, and we're very tanky, and there's that. And then there's another tech with Winterweave where, because we're using Fulcrum, we can actually do some reverse chill stuff. We have our Vortex on left click, and every time you chill an enemy, it reflects it back to you, and then you get a bunch of action speed with reverse chill. So that's very cool. All right. So the pros of this build is that, obviously we're 90, 90, 90. We have like something like 15k armor, 50% fist taken as Ellie. We have Defiance Destiny, which makes us very, very tanky. You can actually just buy these for like 1-2 divines. You absolutely need Fan the Flames because it's what proliferates the ignite that's on you onto nearby enemies. And then I just chose to have a Student Decay to get a little bit of more Chaos Res. And then you will need a small cluster that gives you Enduring Composure. That's how you gain Endurance Charges. And speaking of Endurance Charges, you can pick up some Endurance Charges on your boots to get a little bit of additional tankiness as well. Now, I decided to use Unyielding Forbidden Set. And the reason that is because Unyielding gives you more AoE. And more AoE is pretty much like the most comfort based thing that you could do to get a little bit more like screen clear. You don't have to do this. You can probably pick up like Aspera Carnage if you really wanted to. You can get Unflinching if you want to. I mean, there's not options. I've seen people get Unstoppable as well, but the issue is that as you only have like 2 million damage, right? When you don't have all your buffs up, so sometimes you're just not going to be able to like kill the monster instantaneously. It's going to take you like half a second. But you'll see from the video that I'm pretty fast already. So getting an extra 10% is not that big of a deal. Now, the rares that we're using, we're only using 3 rares. We're using a rare helmet, a rare ring, and a rare gloves. And the reason I chose to use rare gloves is because it's actually kind of hard to get your Chaos Res up while using Steamas. So I ended up just buying a pair of gloves that have Fracture Rarity, and then just spammed, I think, Reforge just Chaos, and then until I got Rarity, and then I just craft on life. And I actually used this ring here for a very long time. I just bought a Chaos Res ring with Fractured Rarity, and I bought this for like 40 chaos, and this is like pretty good already, right? Like I think spammed Reforge's life, and then I got T1 Rarity as well. So I mean, like this ring was really, really good, and I used it for a very long time. This has like 50 plus Rarity, but then I ended up crafting this ring. Keep getting these lucky crafts. The other upside is that we are a Magic Find build, so we are looking at something like 25 Quant and 389 Rarity, and that's not including Beastcodes. So with Beastcodes up all the way, I think it's like something like 450, 460 Rarity. So it's pretty good for Magic Find. Now there's a lot of cons, right? I don't think this build is going to get nerfed just because it feels like this is like an exclusive thing that you can only do in like Ancestor League because of the way tattoos work. It has almost non-existent single target damage when you're not in a map. So if you're doing like Cirrus, for example, it literally can't do it, right? Because it has something like 180,000 damage, Righteous Fire, like 190 fully buffed, right? So it's almost non-existent. All of your damage comes from the monster explosion, Prolif Reflect. So it's a really, really, really good mapper. But if you run up to the boss and then the ignite have expired on you, sometimes you just have to stand there and wait for him to die to your Righteous Fire damage. There's a way to mitigate this. We can talk about this now. And then the other thing is obviously this is no longer a cheap build. I mean you can still put this together for like 50 divines probably, but just the Fulcrum itself is like 36 divines. I mean I don't know how rare it actually is, but it seems like it's one of the more rare things you can get from Heist, and almost nobody's like running Heist for unique items, right? So Fulcrum is just really, really expensive. There's some cool tech that you can do with the Atlas. I'm running Strongbox's Expedition with the Oppenheimer node, and I was actually running Syrian Exarch Altars for a while, but I'm gonna switch to Eater now, and I'm also doing Ghost and stuff like that. And in my mech device, I'm putting in Torment, Expedition, Harbinger, and Ambush, and putting Harbinger on the map device when I do Crimson Temples, and when I run City Squares, I just run them yellow without any sextants or compasses like that. And the reason it's super good, the reason Harbinger is so nice is because the way LE Prolif or like Ignite Prolif works is that it stays on the ground. So all of the new monsters that spawn will actually continue to get burned by the Prolif that's already on the ground. So you can actually just touch them a little bit, and once they start dying, you can go somewhere else and to keep up your Rampage buff. and then the ignite that's on the ground will continue to deal damage to the monsters as they're like being spawned by the harbinger bosses. Yeah, so and then another way you can do it is there's a compass that says the map boss is accompanied by mysterious harbinger. So this actually helps you with your boss damage, because now you have monsters to prolift off of to deal damage to the boss. So this helps a ton. You still want to do kind of the same thing as before. You want to go to the boss as quickly as possible without like skipping too much, and then you want to start clicking altars. Yeah, so we don't want to do the expedition until we have the altars.
Got all day. For the counter.
We're looking at 69% increased rarity of items found, 69 maximum life, and 69% ignite damage. If you want to mirror this, the fee will be 69 regret orbs. Thanks for watching.